Hi everyone, and welcome to this weekly fundamental update. So I'm gonna be pretty brief in this one, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the fundamentals that are awaited for this trading week number 3 for this month. So the most important thing that we're looking at this week is the FOMC minutes from the April meeting. They are due on Wednesday. Now, these minutes will likely show that the FOMC members have had a very rich and interesting discussion, and that the committee is quite divided at this moment. Now, since the April job report was really weak, we continue to think that the door for the June hike is still closed no matter what these minutes print. We do believe that the FOMC is not ready to have a hike until September. In the Eurozone, it is an empty calendar in terms of data, of course. The most important thing we're waiting for, there are just two things, and that's inflation, HICP inflation. This will give us a bit more insight into the Easter effect that we have in the Eurozone right now. And we have the minutes from the ECB's meeting on Thursday. Now, for the UK, obviously, everything continues to be driven by the upcoming EU in-out referendum. The second most important thing that we're going to see from the EU is the labor market report. There are also several very important data releases in China. This will give us more information on how the economic development is in that part of the world. And finally, for Japan, Q1 GDP figures will definitely attract some attention. So I'm going to break everything down into detail. You heard it into bullet points. I'm going to go into a bit more detail now. The most important release this week, like I said, is the April FOMC meeting. This is due on Wednesday. Now, as expected, the Fed maintained the target range of the interest rates between 0.25 and 0.50. But the information in the statement was quite limited. So this is why this minutes will attract a lot of attention, because the minutes will show that the FOMC members have had plenty to talk about. It will show that most likely the committee is quite divided on the idea of a June hike. And like I said, we do still believe that there will be no hikes till about September this year. Obviously, a lot can change till then, but we still believe that this will be and remain the case. So the next thing in the sidelines that there is from the US is there are several speeches by Fed members, and they're all going to be talking this week, with the most important being Dudley, who's a voter. He's dovish. He speaks on Thursday. On Tuesday, we get the CPI inflation figures for April. Now, the CPI core inflation for March, it came up lower than expected. So this one will be pretty important. Heading on to the euro area, we have a very light calendar in terms of data. Nevertheless, it will be quite interesting. It will be an interesting week. We do have bank holidays in a couple of European countries. But here's everything broken into detail. Now, the final HICP inflation figures will give us much more insight into how much of the drop in core inflation was due to early timing of Easter this year in the Eurozone. On Thursday, like I said, we have the ECB minutes, the monetary policy meeting in April. We do not expect too much attention to this meeting, but you never know. It might contain a couple of things that might be important. Last week's ECB meeting did not contain any major news, so there are chances that this one won't have much there either. Okay, so on Tuesday, ECB's chief economist Peter Proyet speaks about economic reforms. He's going to have a talk in Brussels. At the latest meeting, Draghi did put a renewed emphasis on the need for structural reforms, and Mr. Payet is expected to be much more specific in terms of how long term and sustainable growth should be achieved. I'm just mumbling a little bit here because gold is breaking out of the flag pattern. We could see it go a bit higher. We did tell you about this last Thursday and Friday, but I'm going to speak about this pretty soon. There's no need to rush into anything. Okay, so heading over to the UK, as I said earlier in the bullet points, everything continues to be driven by the upcoming EU referendum, in/out. There is something big happening on Wednesday, and that is the state opening of the parliament. It marks the formal start of the parliamentary year, and the Queen is going to have a speech. That speech sets out the government's agenda for the coming session. Now, while the speech will likely center around many different things, not only the EU referendum, the market's focus will be on any comments on the upcoming referendum. This is a very big deal. Now, the most important data released next week is the labor market report for March. It's due on Wednesday. Looking at the single month change in employment, it wasn't changed in January and fell in February, the first fall since May. Now, employment series is very volatile. And I'm bracketing this, which is why the headlines, the reason they're very volatile is because they're broken down into 3-month averages. So if we have another weak employment print, it will be clear that the labor market in the UK is slowing down. Together with weaker activity indicators, it will be a strong signal of a slowing economy, and this is obviously most likely due to Brexit concerns and uncertainties. Like I said, in Japan, we have GDP figures. They will attract a lot of attention. Q1, they're coming out pretty soon, and they're going to be very important. In China, there are several important data releases this week. Tomorrow, we have fixed asset investments, industrial production, retail sales data, all coming out for Wednesday, for April, and are due on Wednesday. They're due tomorrow, and on Wednesday we get Chinese property prices. So this is going to be pretty important. It's going to be an interesting week for many things. Now, last week we gave out 4 trades. These trades included gold, buy, gold cross, Euro USD buy, gold cross, USD JPY sell, def cross, and silver buy, gold cross. We've explained this pretty well to everyone. We've been giving you a resistance area where you could have been buying and selling short-term and long-term. Now that price has broken out of this area, it could be a fake out like one of these 3 here, but I sincerely think that gold is going to be rocking up a bit this week and especially next week. So it's going to be an interesting week. We're going to see a bullish run pretty soon in gold. Euro USD should be turning around this point here. We have many reasons to believe this, and that is the 55-day EMA, the 62.5% level, and the trend area. As you see here, it was easy to break out, but over here it wasn't. We had the 50% of the 62.5 and the 50, and we had a moving average heading upwards. So we could see Euro USD head a bit higher today. I don't believe that these two will cross anytime soon. I just am certain that gold will continue going up, and Euro USD seems to be heading up. USD JPY is a given, especially if the GDP figures come out better than expected. You're gonna see USD JPY tumble a bit more to the downside. So let's just go to USD JPY. Here it is. It's opened up, and it went higher today, then went lower. So we can clearly see that there is a box formation over here, and box formations usually give us excellent indications that there are big moves coming, like here. So I don't think it's going to last more than 4 or even 5 days. So maximum today or tomorrow there should be movement. But like I said, I believe that the figures in Japan will really rocket the market if they come out a bit different than they should. Let me just verify when that's exactly coming out. Okay, we'll put it in the print and then you can find it on the website. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Like I said, gold buy, Euro USD buy, USD JPY sell, silver buy. Since we gave all of these four trades out, they've all managed to gather us some decent pips, green pips. We've even begun the compounding process on a few of them, such as gold and even silver. But in the next video that we will be releasing, we will cover all of these financial charts again. So that's pretty much it. My name is Dennis, and I sincerely thank you for stopping by, and I wish you an excellent week.